The Krill warships hung in Earth's orbit, like dark stones blocking the sun. Their hulls were black metal, scarred from 100 conquests. Inside the command vessel, General Vorak studied the blue planet below with cold, calculating eyes. "Another weak species," he said to his officers. "Their weapons are primitive. Their defenses are scattered. We will take this world in 3 days." His second officer nodded. "The humans have sent a diplomat to negotiate. She waits in the docking bay." Vorak laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Let her come. I enjoy watching them beg." Ambassador Lisa Grant entered the Krill Command Center with steady steps. She wore a simple blue suit, her face calm, despite the armed guards surrounding her. She had prepared for this moment her entire career. "General Vorak," she began, "Earth wishes to discuss peaceful terms. We have resources we can trade. There is no need for violence." Vorak rose from his command chair. He towered over the human woman, his gray skin covered in battle scars. "Peaceful terms? You misunderstand, human. We do not trade. We take. You have 48 hours to surrender your world. If you refuse, we will burn your cities until you submit." Lisa's jaw tightened. "You are making a terrible mistake." "The only mistake," Vorak said, turning away, "is that you think you have a choice. Guards, remove her." Back on Earth, Commander James Blake watched the transmission from a secured bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. His face remained expressionless, but his hands gripped the edge of the console. "Sir?" asked a young officer. "Should we prepare the conventional forces?" Blake shook his head slowly. "No. Conventional weapons won't stop them. Contact Dr. Hayes. Tell him it's time." 3 levels deeper in the mountain, Dr. Robert Hayes stood in a massive underground hangar. The space stretched for miles, carved from solid rock over 15 years. Inside waited humanity's greatest secret, dragons, not the creatures from myths and fairy tales, but war machines built in their image. Each mech stood 50 feet tall, constructed from titanium alloy and powered by fusion cores. Their wings were not decorative. They contained advanced thrusters for flight. Their mouths held plasma cannons. Their claws could tear through tank armor like paper. Hayes ran his hand along the foot of the nearest dragon. Its metal surface was painted deep red with gold accents along the wings. The name Fury was stenciled on its side. "Doctor," a voice called. Captain Mike Torres jogged across the hangar floor, already wearing his flight suit. "Is it really happening?" Hayes nodded. "The Krill have given us 48 hours. But Commander Blake wants to send a message sooner. Are you ready?" Torres grinned. "I've been ready for 10 years. Ever since I first saw these beauties, I knew this day would come." Other pilots arrived quickly. Each one had trained in secret, learning to bond with their dragon mechs through neural interfaces. They were the best Earth had former fighter pilots, test pilots, soldiers who had proven their skill and courage. Blake's voice came through the intercom. "All stations, this is Commander Blake. The Krill have begun their attack. They are hitting New York, London, and Tokyo with light bombardment. Ground forces are landing in all 3 cities. They think we are defenseless." Hayes looked at Torres. "Show them the truth." Torres climbed the ladder to Fury's cockpit. The neural interface helmet connected to his skull, and suddenly he could feel the mech as if it were his own body. Every servo, every weapon system, every thruster responded to his thoughts. Around the hangar, 20 other pilots climbed into their dragons. Each mech was unique, some painted green, like ancient forest guardians. Others black like shadows, still others blue, like the sky they would dominate. "Dragon Squadron," Blake's voice commanded, "you are cleared for launch. Wake the dragons. Show the galaxy that humanity does not surrender." The mountain rumbled. Hidden panels in the rock face slid open, revealing blue sky. Fury's fusion core ignited with a deep hum that became a roar. Torres felt the power flowing through the mech systems. "All dragons, this is Fury," Torres said into the com. "Form up on me. Target the Krill ground forces in New York first. Then we take the fight to their ships." One by one, the dragon mechs ignited their thrusters. The sound was like thunder. They launched from the mountain in a stream of fire and fury, wings spreading as they took flight. In New York, Krill soldiers marched through the streets. Their weapons destroyed abandoned cars and buildings with ease. They had seen no resistance. Their commander reported back to the fleet that the humans had already fled. Then the sky darkened. A Krill trooper looked up. His translator struggled to process what he was seeing. 20 massive shapes dove from the clouds, wings spread, fire building in their mouths. "What are those?" he whispered. Torres grinned inside Fury's cockpit. He opened the com channel so the Krill could hear. "We are Earth's answer. We are the dragons. And you just made the worst mistake of your lives." Fury's plasma cannon fired, a beam of superheated energy that vaporized 3 Krill tanks instantly. The other dragons opened fire, their weapons tearing through the invasion force like a storm. General Vorak watched from orbit, his confident expression crumbling into shock and disbelief. General Vorak stared at the tactical display, his 3-fingered hands trembling. Red icons representing his ground forces were disappearing one by one. His officers stood frozen, unsure what to say. "What are those things?" Vorak demanded. "Our sensors said the humans had only primitive aircraft." His tactical officer worked frantically at his console. "General, they are. I don't know. Metal constructs, but they fly like fighters. They have energy weapons more advanced than ours. They are destroying everything we landed." In New York, Captain Torres pulled Fury into a steep climb, dodging plasma fire from a Krill gunship. The dragon mech twisted in midair with impossible grace, wings adjusting automatically. Torres locked onto the enemy vessel and fired. Fury's claws extended, magnetic grapples shooting out to grab the gunship's hull. "Got you," Torres muttered. Fury's rear thrusters fired at full power, dragging the struggling gunship downward. Torres released it at the last second, and the Krill vessel crashed into the street below, exploding in a ball of orange flame. "Fury to Dragon Squadron," Torres called. "Ground forces are retreating to their landing ships. Don't let them escape. Burn them all." A green dragon named Thorn swooped low, its pilot a woman named Rachel Price, targeting a cluster of Krill soldiers. Thorn's mouth opened, and a stream of superheated plasma washed over the enemy. Their armor melted instantly. "Thorn confirms multiple targets destroyed," Rachel reported. These things never stood a chance. In London, another squadron of dragons emerged from underground facilities hidden beneath the English countryside. Their leader, a pilot named David Kumar, guided his black dragon called Shadow through the smoke-filled sky. "Shadow Squadron, split formation," David ordered. "3 of you take the landing ships. The rest with me. We're going after their orbital support craft." Shadow's wings folded tight as it accelerated straight up, breaking through the clouds in seconds. 3 other dragons followed, their fusion cores burning bright as they climbed toward space. The Krill had never seen anything like it. Their fighters scrambled to intercept, but the dragons were faster, more maneuverable, and far better armed. Shadow barrel rolled past 2 enemy fighters, its tail-mounted cannons shredding them both. "This is too easy," David said with grim satisfaction. Back in the command bunker, Commander Blake watched multiple screens, showing the battle across 3 continents. Every report showed the same story. The Krill were being annihilated. Dr. Hayes stood beside him, arms crossed. "The dragons are performing even better than our simulations predicted." The neural interface gives the pilots perfect control. Blake nodded. But Vorak still has his fleet in orbit. 20 warships. If he decides to bombard Earth from space, we'll have casualties before the dragons can reach him. Then we don't give him time to think, Hayes said. Send all squadrons up. Hit them now while they're confused. Blake turned to his communication officer. Send the order. All Dragon units, engage the orbital fleet. Full assault. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. General Vorak watched his tactical display turn into a nightmare. The human war machines were climbing toward his fleet. Their speed was impossible. Nothing that size should move so fast. All ships, prepare defensive positions. Vorak shouted. Launch all fighters. Deploy point defense systems. His weapons officer hesitated. Sir, should we begin orbital bombardment? We could destroy their cities before they reach us. Vorak's eyes narrowed. For a moment, he considered it. Then he saw the tactical readout showing 60 Dragon mechs accelerating toward his fleet. They would reach him in minutes. No, he said quietly. If we bombard now, they will show no mercy. Prepare to retreat, sir. His first officer looked shocked. We are the Krill Empire. We do not retreat. Vorak grabbed the officer's uniform. We retreat or we die. Those machines are destroying everything we send against them. Look at the numbers. The officer checked his display. In 15 minutes, the humans had eliminated 80% of the Krill ground forces and destroyed 12 gunships. The losses were catastrophic. Captain Torres led the first wave of dragons into orbital space. Fury's environmental shields activated automatically, protecting Torres from the vacuum. Through the neural link, he could feel every system responding perfectly. Dragon forces, this is Fury. Target the Krill warships. Destroy their engines first. We don't want them running away before we finish this. 20 dragons broke into attack formations. They moved like a flight of ancient predators, coordinated and deadly. The Krill fighters tried to intercept them, but were outmatched completely. Torres selected his first. Target a Krill destroyer, 3 times Fury's size. He accelerated directly toward it, ignoring the defensive fire splashing against his shields. At the last moment, he dove beneath the ship's hull and fired both primary cannons. The destroyer's engine section exploded in a brilliant flash. The ship began spinning out of control, emergency systems failing. Fury confirms kill, Torres reported. 1 down. 19 to go. Rachel and Thorne targeted a Krill cruiser, her dragon's claws ripping through its armor plating before unleashing plasma fire directly into its reactor. The cruiser broke apart, debris scattering into space. David's shadow performed a complex spiral attack, dodging between 2 Krill battleships while firing constantly. His weapons carved deep gouges in both vessels, disabling their weapon systems. Shadow to Fury, David called. I'm marking the command ship. That big one in the center. Think we can take it? Torres grinned. Let's find out. All dragons converge on the command ship. Concentrated fire. Let's send General Vorak a message. 60 dragons turned as one, their weapons charging. They formed a wedge formation, with Fury at the point. The sight was terrifying massive mechanical beasts flying through space, fire building in their mouths. On the Krill command ship, General Vorak saw them coming. His tactical officer was screaming damage reports. 3 ships destroyed, 5 more disabled, fighters completely wiped out. It had been less than 30 minutes. Open a channel to the humans, Vorak said, his voice defeated. Sir? Do it now. Vorak roared. Ambassador Lisa Grant appeared on the screen, standing in the Earth Command Center. Her expression was cold. General Vorak, she said calmly, I believe you wanted to discuss terms? Vorak swallowed his pride. On the tactical display, the dragon formation was seconds away from firing range. We wish to negotiate a ceasefire. Now you want to negotiate, Lisa said. After you attacked our cities. After you killed our people. After you called us weak. Please, Vorak said, and the word tasted like poison. We will withdraw. We will leave your system. Just call off your dragons. Commander Blake stepped into view beside Lisa. All dragon units, hold fire. Maintain targeting lock, but do not engage. Torres and the other pilots kept their weapons trained on the Krill fleet, but stopped their advance. Fury's plasma cannons glowed with barely contained power. Blake addressed Vorak directly. You came to our world thinking we were helpless. You are not the first to make that mistake, and you will not be the last. But hear this, Vorak. You will leave our system immediately. You will broadcast to every corner of the galaxy what happened here today. You will tell them that humanity does not surrender. We do not bow. And if anyone threatens Earth again, the dragons will come for them. Vorak nodded slowly. It will be done. One more thing, Blake added. If we ever see Krill ships near human space again, we will not offer terms. We will not negotiate. We will simply destroy you. Are we clear? Crystal clear. Vorak whispered. The Krill fleet began emergency jump procedures. Within minutes, they vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind wreckage and the memory of their crushing defeat. Torres watched them go, Fury's system still at full combat readiness. Think they'll be back? Blake's voice came through the comm. No, but others will hear about this. They'll want to test us. Let them come. We'll be ready. The dragons returned to Earth in triumph, descending through the atmosphere like falling stars. People emerged from shelters to watch them land, these magnificent machines that had saved humanity from conquest. Dr. Hayes stood in the hangar as Torres climbed down from Fury's cockpit. The pilot was exhausted, but smiling. How did it feel? Hayes asked. Torres looked up at his dragon, its metal surface still warm from battle. It felt like we just changed everything. The galaxy thought we were prey. Now they know we're predators. Hayes nodded. The dragons are awake, and humanity will never be seen as weak again. Above Earth, space stations and satellites picked up something interesting. Alien communication channels across the galaxy were suddenly buzzing with one message. Repeated in 100 languages. Stay away from Earth. The humans have dragons. And in the darkness between stars, other species listened to the Krill's warning and wondered if perhaps they had underestimated these strange creatures from the blue planet. Perhaps, they thought, it was time to approach humanity with respect instead of conquest. In his office, Commander Blake allowed himself a small smile. The Dragon Initiative had worked beyond his greatest hopes. Earth was safe, and the galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Never assume. We won't fight back, because when humanity is threatened, the dragons awake. Asterisk.